Hello and welcome to the Olfactive Melbourne podcast. I'm your host, Trent Stokes.
And I'm Robin Stokes. We're a husband and wife team passionate about perfume, and we're on a journey to better understand and explore the art of perfumery. We're coming to you today from Melbourne, Australia, and we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're recording. They are the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to the elders, past and present, and we extend that same respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening to the recording today.
On this show, we interview Australia's premier niche, artisanal and indie perfume brands. From the founders to the perfumers and onto the creatives who take us on a guided journey through a fragrance that best represents their brand. The show is wrapped around a masterclass in which we invite our guests to take us through each stage of the opening, the heart, and the base. The show unfolds in real time, meaning that there is time in between the opening and the heart and the base. And this is known as the dry down. During the dry down, we take the opportunity to deep dive into the perfumer's journey, their brand, their mission, their vision, their values, along with getting a better understanding of some of the technical terms in perfumery, along with how to identify individual notes and accords so that we can more deeply connect with perfumery, and also so that we can better identify the notes that we like and dislike. This allows us to make more informed decisions about the fragrances that we connect with and that we ultimately wear. The show is designed to be both educational and entertaining. So if you like what we do, please like and subscribe and make sure to sit back, relax and enjoy the show. The Olfactive Melbourne podcast is proudly sponsored by Watchvault, Australia's premier destination for luxury and vintage timepieces. Each watch is trusted, verified and ready for its next chapter. Visit watchvault.com.au to discover your next timeless investment.
Today we are joined by Corey Veigel, the founder and perfumer of Veigel Perfumes. His work is guided by craftsmanship, emotion, and family, values that shine through in every one of his fragrances. By blending the finest natural ingredients with cutting-edge chemistry, Cory creates fragrances that are really unique. Cory, welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Cory, it'd be great if we could kick off the show by hearing a little bit from you. Where did your brand begin? And how long have you been around, as well as where are you based?
Yeah, so just based just south of Sydney, a little big town called Wollongong. So I'm on the border of Sydney and Wollongong. I started a brand about 11 months ago, just after my son was born. So I think I've been selling for 10 months now. I started learning perfumery a couple of years back, maybe 2 years now. But yeah, I just started selling about 10 months ago.
First of all, congratulations on the birth of your son.
Thank you.
And so tell us a little bit more about what's the fragrance that you've brought along today?
Yeah, so the star fragrance for tonight, I thought it'd be a good idea to go through Amore Del Fico. I've got an older bottle here. You guys have a new one. I thought that this one best represented the brand, and it also had the biggest change in its scent profile.
Fantastic. So what we'll do is you did send us the new packaging here as well. So
Yes.
we'll superimpose that onto the screen so people can get a slightly better look. But we're going to spray this out. We're really keen to get our noses on this straight away. But we're going to flash this pretty new bottle around as well. So Robin, if you wouldn't mind popping that onto the screen there as well. Fantastic. Beautiful packaging, beautiful bottle, but it's all about the juice. So we're going to spray this out. Now, what we always do on this show is we spray it onto blotters, but also onto our skin. While we're just going through the application process here in the studio, I'm just going to explain to our viewers who might be a little bit new to perfumery what we're about to do. So we're about to smell the opening notes of this perfume. So if we think about perfume in terms of a perfume pyramid, our opening notes sit at the very top of that pyramid. They're made up of the lightest and most volatile aroma molecules. So they surface to the fragrance first, but they also dissipate the fastest. In the center of our pyramid, we have our heart notes. And then at the very bottom of the pyramid, we have our base notes. They will unfold in real time as we're going through this masterclass today. What we're going to experience now, though, are the opening notes. So, Corey, we're going to have a bit of a sniff. Let's have a little smell here. And if I could just get the blotter there. Fantastic. All right. If you can just talk us through, what are our opening notes here?
So very obviously, fig and fig leaf are the main opening notes here. It's a very bright green opening, and that's supported by some really nice bergamot. So yeah, it's a very bright, bold green opening with the star being the fig and the fig leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very green, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm very fond of a green fig note. So as soon as I opened the box, actually, I could smell that, which was just beautiful.
It's very strong.
Fantastic. Fig leaf, and bergamot. So we've got a bit of citrus in there as well.
Yes. So in my eyes, a nice bit of citrus with some nice greenness just really helps like brighten things up. It just kind of gives it lift, gives it more of that kind of sparkly, kind of natural kind of smell.
And tell us a bit more about the fig, Corey. Is it a note or is it a chord? How have you gone about doing the fig note?
So you are not allowed to use natural fig oil in your fragrances. Well, you can, but it's restricted by IFRA. When you smell fig in a fragrance, most of the time it'll be in a chord. So this is one that I put together. I was one day sitting there wanting to make like a really nice kind of natural green fig, inspired by my wife's nonno's garden. He's got really nice fig trees growing in the garden, and I was just there smelling the leaves and smelling the fruit, more so the leaves. That really kind of grabbed me. So I kind of wanted to recreate what I remember those trees smelling like.
That's quite intriguing. I didn't realize that IFRA sort of restricts the use of real fig. Do you know why that might be the case?
I believe it's like it can cause sensitization. So it can cause, skin irritations or rashes. I don't know when they restricted it, but I think it was a little while ago.
Yeah.
Amazing. So if we weren't able to put together records and use synthetic ingredients, we'd be a little bit restricted with the actual ingredients we could use for these types of reasons.
Definitely. Specifically with a lot of the natural ingredients, while safe in small amounts, at higher amounts they can cause rashes or sensitizations, and some people allergies and hay fever and stuff like that. It could really set them off. So specifically with a lot of natural ingredients, you need to be careful with the amount that you put in there.
I think we have discussed this on the show before. There can be a slight misconception with natural being safe and synthetics being unsafe. It's actually not the case. This is why we have IFRA, and IFRA helps to regulate all of the different substances that we might put onto our skin. Of course, there are dangerous naturals and there are safe synthetics and vice versa.
Exactly. The art of perfumery is balancing those and obviously staying within the regulations. Me personally, I really love using naturals because they just add a lot of, depth and just kind of add like a little bit of complexity. And obviously the majority of the fragrances are made up of those synthetic materials that you need to, make things project and last long and smell nice. So yeah, it's a fine balance of mixing those two together.
Fantastic. So did I hear you say that the fragrance itself is inspired by, was it your nonna's garden or?
So my wife's nonno, so her pop, yeah. So she's Italian, and yeah, he has like this whole garden. He's got tomatoes, lemons, figs, every single like herb that you can think of. Yeah, he's always growing stuff. He's growing roses and geranium, and a whole bunch of flowers and everything like that. He's a very hardworking man, and he loves his garden.
What a gorgeous, I guess, tribute to him and his gardening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I also feel like because it's so green, it almost smells like cut flower stems to me as well, that I'm getting.
Yeah, so you'll be starting to smell the middle notes now. So you'll be getting that galbanium, which is kind of like a slightly spicy kind of stemmy greenness. So that's what you'll be smelling along with a bit of that fig still. And then you have some of the cardamom and labdanum, which are more spices. Labdanum being a bit more resinous and a bit more ambery, just to help bolster the other spices that are in there.
Fantastic. And obviously in the opening there, I discussed the perfume pyramid and said, sort of you get those opening notes first, then the heart notes, and then the base notes. But it's not quite that simple, is it? So, it doesn't quite always unfold in that linear manner. You're going to get some of the heart notes punching through in the opening. You're going to get some of the base notes punching through, in the heart, and sometimes in the opening as well. And things just don't always unfold quite in that linear manner.
You got to have that nice, you got to have a pyramid, but you can have, little hooks that go into each level of the pyramid as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, we do take roughly about sort of 15, 20 minutes for the opening notes to really sort of dissipate, and for those heart notes that you mentioned to start to come to the fore. And we're going to revisit those notes in a moment. But while we're going through the dry down, we'd like to take the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. So our audience wants to know a little bit about the actual perfumer behind the perfume. So Cory, my first question for you is, where did the love of perfume start?
Well, back in the day in high school, it feels like it wasn't that long ago, but it was, it'd be 12 years now. Actually be 13 years, sorry. So yeah, back in the day, I wasn't really well versed with perfumes or anything like that. I went on a holiday. I was like on a cruise, and I walked past one of the boutiques on the cruise, and I stopped in there, and I was just, all these perfumes. I was like, oh, well, I just got nothing else to do. I'm on a cruise. I'm in the middle of the ocean. I might as well smell some stuff. And I was smelling all these different perfumes. I'm not sure if it was a specific brand or if it was just like a general, I can't remember exactly. But the one that definitely stood out to me was Bulgari Aqua Palm. I just remember like spraying it, smelling it, and just instantly just being like, wow, this is amazing. Like it was like really citrusy and like marine and woody and like, but not super fresh. It was a little bit dark at the same time as well. I was a bit of a moody teenager, had the kind of long hair, covering the forehead and the eyes a little bit, listening to a lot of, sad and depressing music. I still do, but, I'm a bit more grown up now. And I was like, wow, this is kind of dark and deep and, fresh at the same time. And I just remember loving it. And I bought it then and there. I probably paid like, an extreme amount of money for it from what it was actually worth, because I'm on a cruise ship in a boutique store somewhere. But yeah, I just remember falling in love with it. And that was the only perfume that I bought and wore for like 5 years. Every single time I ran out, I would rebuy it straight away. I loved it that much, and I would just, constant just spraying myself before I left for school, before I left for work, before I went out with friends. Yeah, it was constant. I was always wearing it. And then that kind of evolved into, later on down the line, smelling other perfumes on people, being like, wow, it smells really good. I want to get that. And then, I started off with a lot of freshies, like CK1 classic, Paco Rabanne Invictus, another classic, Versace Pour Homme, like all those kinds of scents. I never really got into the really like sweet stuff, but that's kind of where it started. Just Aqua Palm by Bulgari. That was what sparked my love for perfumery.
I love hearing about all the old fragrances and all the special ones that we love from, way back when. So from there, how did you go from loving those fragrances to starting to create fragrances and do it for yourself?
Yeah, well, the thing I've always wanted to do something creative, but I can't play music, I can't sing, I can't draw, I can't paint, I can't do anything creative. I'm just more technical minded. Like I work with computers, I love playing games and everything like that. Just a big nerd, really. But I always had like this side that I wanted to do something creative, but I just could never found anything that actually worked for me. And then, as I got older and, you have adult money and you can, splash on a few things. It was a couple of years ago. I was sitting there and I was buying all these perfumes, expensive ones, Creed and all that sort of stuff, Roja Doves. And I was like, wow, I'm spending a lot of money on perfume. And I was like, maybe I could, see about making them myself. So I did a lot of research. I was looking at like a lot of YouTube videos, reading a lot of forums like Base Notes is a really good one, joining just discords of, perfumery discords, and just trying to get as much information as I could. And I finally bit the bullet and I spent a couple $100 on a perfume making kit. Now that I look back, it's not really a perfume making kit. It's just a kind of a bunch of accords that are mixed up, and then they just have a little booklet saying, mix 10 drops of this with 5 drops of this. But I got it and I felt really, really cool at the time. And then as I started doing more research and digging in deeper, found out that it's like, oh, it's not just apple oil and lemon and, fig oil, and you mix it together and it makes a really nice smell. Found out it's like all these, aroma chemicals and different compounds and essential oils and absolutes and all these other different things that come together to make a single smell within that, 10 note structure that you see in a perfume. So that's how I started. Wanted to do something creative. I found something that's both creative and technical at the same time, kind of mashes the two worlds together, which is really good. And yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Awesome. So it's a bit of a leap though to go from the paint by numbers sort of perfume kid and then experimenting and starting to build perfumes to actually launching a brand.
Yes.
So what made you sort of transition from making your own perfumes to popping your name on a brand and releasing something, what it was about 11 months ago now, I think you said?
Yeah, about that. Yeah. Well, it started with this little kit and I was a bit disappointed by it. I did more research and have found out, I needed to buy all these, really important, synthetic aroma chemicals. Just did more research, just bought, like 10 at a time, whatever I could afford at the time, and just started mixing them together and just, seeing how they worked. I'd get like 10 bottles every week of like a new batch of aroma chemicals. And yeah, I just open them up, smell them, dilute them down to 10% with some alcohol, smell them then again. And then I'd be like, all right, well, what is this? Like, what is Hedione and Isoi Super, two very common materials? I was like, what do they smell like together? I know what they smell like separately, but what do they smell like together? And then it's like, what do they smell like if I do more of Isoi Super or more of Hedione? And what if I add in a little bit of this? And that's just kind of how it started. Just sitting here at this very desk, just, putting in drops and drops and drops of different chemicals and just seeing how it worked out. The very start, it was all shit. Nothing smelled good. I was sitting there mixing stuff together. I'm like, yeah, this smells really good. And then, now I look back, I'm like, it just smells like one material, because I didn't really understand how strong some of these materials were at the time. So I was just putting in kind of like equal parts of this and seeing how it worked out. And then it just smells like one material and everything else is kind of muddied by it. Yeah, I just kind of kept working at it, sitting here until 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, just mixing things, doing more research, buying more materials, and yeah, just playing around with them really, and just getting to understand how they work, and, just putting them on blotters, smelling them every 5 minutes, smell it 10 minutes, 15, 30, an hour, so I can just understand if it evolves and, how strong it is over a certain period of time. It got to a point where I was just making some stuff. It smelled pretty good. I was giving them to friends and family. They were smelling them. They were liking them. And one day, one of my friends was like, oh, I'd easily pay $200 for this. It's like, this smells amazing. I paid $200 for this. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm onto something here. And at this time I had my son. And so just looking after him, my wife helped me with all the, the designs, like the logo, the box design, the, little note breakdown graphics I have on the website. She's a graphic designer, so it's very helpful to have someone like that in your life. So we'd get the baby to sleep and then she'd be on our laptop doing this and I'd be like over here mixing perfumes and stuff together. And yeah, it started just from like just started my website. I had just like a single 10 ml perfume. It was Valor, and that was the first one I started with. And yeah, it just evolved from there.
Great story. And it's wonderful to hear how you worked as a team, another husband and wife team.
Yeah, that's very helpful having someone like that that's very supportive and, also able to help you with a lot of the stuff that I don't know how to do. I'm not a graphic designer. I played around with a little bit of Photoshop when I was in high school, but like I could not do the stuff that she does. And it's very, very helpful, and it saves a lot of money as well, because I don't have to go out to someone and ask them to design stuff for me.
I have just a question, Cory. Did you find that your nose evolved as you learned more and explored fragrances and scents more?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like even before I had like a pretty good nose, like good at like smelling stuff out, like especially with food. I'll be eating food, I'm like, oh, it's definitely got some of this in there or some of this in there, and like, how are you tasting that? I'm like, I can smell it. And I remember like as a kid, like smelling, flowers and all the different stuff in the cupboard and eating is smelling everything. Even now I still like, smell whatever I'm eating and then, eat it. It might be a little bit weird, but I like to smell things. And yeah, definitely since, getting all the single aroma chemicals and smelling them individually, all of it just kind of clicked in my head. I was like, oh, this is what I've been smelling for like the last 10 years in X perfume or in laundry detergent and, floor cleaner and everything like that. So yeah, after I started going through all the single materials, things started making sense. And then, yeah, definitely think that having those there, it definitely helps with being able to pick up things.
So you did a fairly significant collaboration with, is it Jalu?
Yes.
So Jalu cross Veigel, and you put together a nose training kit. Was that some of the inspiration of your journey to sort of understand those individual notes? Is that what you were trying to sort of share with the broader audience?
Definitely. Like when I was putting it together, like I had the idea and I really like when I was trying to explain perfumes to people, I'd be talking about the single molecules and like aroma chemicals. And I'm like, yeah, like it smells like this. Like if you smell this perfume, it's what you're smelling. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying. And I kind of probably sound like a crazy person trying to be like, hydromercenol or galaxolide and like trying to just be like, this is what this smells like. And another thing was there was a lot of frustration when I started doing this. There was no like, a box that just had the popular stuff in there that I could just get, smell, and be like, oh, okay, this is what this is. I need to get more of this so I can add it to the stuff that I'm working on. So yeah, it was born out of frustration and just to try and help people to understand like what goes into their perfumes, and so that when they do smell it, hopefully they have that same like brain click eureka moment where it's like, I've smelt this so many times and now it makes sense to me why I've smelt it, because it's one of the most popular materials that are used in the perfumes. So that's kind of the mentality behind that box.
Fantastic. We've actually got the box here. If you just want to grab that for a moment there, Robin, and we'll just pop that onto the screen. So this is the nose training kit. It's actually got quite a lot of materials inside of it. I think we've got about
20.
20. Fantastic. My counting skills. There we go. I was about to say 16, but we've got 20 different materials. We've also, do you want to?
Yeah, little 4 ml bottles. They're all diluted down to 10%. I believe one of them is diluted down to 1% just because it's a very punchy aroma chemical. It's a green, grassy aroma chemical, actually. Yeah, diluted it down to 10% so that people can properly smell it. The issue when you're smelling it 100% is that for someone who doesn't have a trained nose around these materials, they either won't be able to smell it properly or it'll just completely blow their nose out and they won't be able to smell anything else. It can be very, very strong. When you dilute it down to 10%, it kind of gives you that full experience because it's not so strong that you can't smell it because it's just blown your nose out, and it's not so weak that you can't smell it because there's not enough in there. So 10% is like a really good like learning dilution so that you can properly smell it, analyze it, and it's mostly safe as well at that level. Like there's not a whole lot of stuff that isn't safe to put on your skin at 10%.
So, Cory, tell us about how we should go about using the nose training kit.
Yeah, so kind of like what I mentioned a little bit earlier, the best way to go about it is you want to smell it in kind of intervals. So what I would recommend, and I think I have a little information part at the start of the kit as well, explaining this as well. So what I would normally do is get a little blotter, write down the name of whatever it is on there and the time, dip it in there about 1 centimeter, put it down for about like a minute so the alcohol can kind of evaporate off, and then smell it, analyze it, give it like a proper whiff. I recommend doing it outside, especially at the beginning, because then you're not getting any kind of conflicting smells that are inside, and outside's, nice and fresh. So what I do is I smell it, write down my thoughts, how strong I think it is, and how much is coming off of the strip as well. And then just kind of 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 30, an hour, 2 hours, etc. And just writing down any differences that you smell or any kind of differences in the strength of it or the tenacity of it. And you go through one by one, one every day or one every couple days, and just keep coming back to it because you'll probably pick up new things as well as you kind of start to understand how the materials work.
It's brilliant. I don't think there's anything like it on the market. I mean, it's relatively easy to source, perfume oils and smell those, but these type of chemicals is really hard to actually get hold of. So, I mean, we're all about education on this show. We think this is really brilliant. And certainly from my experience with the kit, when I hear a certain aroma molecule or or note inside of a perfume, and I don't know how to necessarily recognize it, I go to the kit and go, oh, okay, that's ISO E-Super. Okay, now I get it. Now I'm starting to put this together and starting to recognize what I actually like in perfumes, maybe some of what I dislike in perfumes, but then I can start, unfortunately, purchasing more of the stuff that I like. And this is not a cheap hobby, unfortunately. No. So
it's not any cheaper making them either.
I can only imagine some of these materials, and we've had quite a few perfumers on the show now. They're telling us that it can be $20,000, $50,000 dollars a kilo for some of these ingredients. Even more if you start to talk about things like oud and other ultra expensive ingredients. Well, it's amazing how much you can spend putting together a fragrance. Fantastic. So we're well into the dry down of the opening at this stage. So I think it might be a good opportunity here to sort of transition to the heart.
This edition of Olfactive Melbourne is proudly brought to you by Silver Australia. Silver Australia design and shape their jewellery in their studio in Melbourne, and they're pleased to offer Olfactive Melbourne listeners 20% off when you use the code MASA20. So we'll just go back to the perfume pyramid and thinking of the heart of the perfume as the center of the pyramid. This is really the core of the fragrance. It's where the characteristic and the personality of the fragrance really come into its own and the essence of the fragrance unfolds. So that's what the heart's all about. And so let's have another smell. And Cory, if you could take us through those notes again, that'd be great.
Yeah, so definitely getting that very green, stemmy garbanium. So garbanium is like a nice, I can't explain it, but it's kind of like a fan, how it kind of fans out and it has all these like nice little yellow flowers over the top of it. It's kind of hard to, it's kind of a little bit peppery and like spicy. It's got like this really kind of punchy note to it. And it's kind of got that like kind of sticky kind of, you smack like some plants on your hand and you get that really green, sticky kind of, resin on your hand. That's what's kind of coming through now. And on top of that, we're also starting to get some of those base notes come through as well. Like it's starting to bleed in. And the main one that you'd probably be smelling is sandalwood. So it's kind of got that kind of really kind of creamy sandalwood mixed in with the dry cedarwood and that green, stemmy, spicy garbanium. And it's kind of making like this, not like pickly, but like, sticky green kind of aroma.
Blotter, it's very much the yellow flower kind of almost polleny. I would describe it almost on the blotter, but on my hand, it's a bit warmer, a little bit more subtle.
You probably have a lot more of the cedarwood coming through on your skin because it's those base notes are getting warmed up by your skin. So you're getting a lot more of those base notes coming out.
What are you experiencing?
It's still quite green for me, which I think is quite amazing because quite often with green fragrances, those things dissipate quite quickly, and you've managed to hold that fig note, I think, right through to this stage, and it's still got that nice greenness about it. But as you mentioned, it is starting to warm up. I think the cardamom's starting to introduce a bit of warmth to it as well, along with that sandalwood starting to sort of punch through from the base.
And
in the air, I feel like the fig projects.
It really does. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's not as kind of green punchy as it was when you first spray it, because obviously that bergamot and that citrus is really helping that lift up. But yeah, after you get a bit more into like the middle dry down, like that greenness starts to go away a little bit. It's still there, but it's not nearly as like, toppy and just like punching you in the nose. You start to get like that more, the stem of like the tree and the plants that are coming through.
Is that some of the imagery that we get here? So we know that this is inspired by, and I'll try and get this right this time, Nonno's garden. So,
Yes.
Yep. So your wife's grandfather.
Yes.
And I guess we're imagining the garden. Where are we in the garden at the moment?
Where we've moved, so we've got this nice big fig tree. We're standing underneath the canopy. There's a bit of leaves on the ground, leaves up in the air. You got some fruits blooming, but we're mainly standing pretty much in front of the tree right now. We got the nice tree trunk coming down over you, in front of you.
That really important, that imagery, isn't it? And the story that we tell through our fragrances.
Yeah, you can almost imagine standing under the canopy of the tree and in the shade. I imagine it being in the shade, but having all those beautiful figs and leaves around. Gorgeous.
Fantastic. So we've got cardamom, we've got galbanum and labdanum here in our heart, with a little bit of the base starting to leach through. Now, we've just mentioned storytelling and imagery, and we're quite deliberate in asking you those questions, because you can't really have a conversation about fragrance unless you speak about memory, right? It always takes you somewhere sort of immediately. But what I'm really interested to know from you, Cory, and we're about to get stuck into some of your other fragrances in your range, but where does the inspiration sort of come from to create a perfume? So what comes first for you? Is it that image? Is it a story? Where does your inspiration come from?
It comes from a bit of everywhere, if I'm honest. I could be listening to a song and I'm like, while I'm listening to the song, I'm like, I can imagine how this would smell like, or if I was to put it into a smell, like a perfume, what would the song smell like? There's, memories that I think back on, and I'm like, I can remember kind of how it smelled and how I felt when I was in the time, and just recreating that, or that feelings as well, just like feeling bright and happy, make a bright, citrusy, sparkly kind of fragrance, or you're feeling a bit down, just really dark, woody, maybe a little bit sweet as well. It can come from everywhere, really. The time of day, driving in the car, talking to someone, listening to music, it just comes when it comes, really.
So your inspiration really comes from within and is sparked by many, many different things.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Inspiration can strike from anywhere, can't it?
Yeah. It's been times I'm laying in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, wait a second, this could really work. And I start writing a formula at 3 o'clock in the morning, like just putting down rough notes and rough numbers of how much, I think this would work. Yeah, it can come at any time, really.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing some of the inspiration behind the other fragrances in your range. And you've got quite a few fragrances in your range. It's quite amazing to think that you've only been around for 11 months. You've been extremely productive in that short time frame. There would be brands out there that would struggle to get only a couple of fragrances up in that time frame. So well done to you. That is quite a lot. And I know many of these fragrances are favourites amongst the fragrance community. We hear lots and lots of good things about these fragrances. We've been holding back and we've been wanting to smell them with you in real time, because I think that's a great way to really experience this. It's a real privilege for us to be able to get you to sort of talk us through them. So, on that note, we want you to sort of drive this here, Cory. Where do you think we should start in the broader range?
Ooh. Should we start with the bestseller? Let's start with the bestseller. So we're going to do Tobacuccino first.
Tobacuccino. Now, I have been very excited to try this one because it's had nothing but fantastic reviews. All right, we'll just spray this onto some blotters here. All right, so Tobacuccino. All right, do you want to take us through what are the notes in Tobacuccino?
Yeah, just got them up here on the side. So they're top notes of cardamom, neroli, you got middle notes of tobacco and coffee, and the base notes are caramel and guaiac wood.
Really unique. I don't think I've smelled anything like this before. What was the inspiration behind Tobacuccino?
I really like coffee, and I don't smoke, but I know the ritual of waking up, having a coffee and a cigarette. Like, I think there's just something that's like coffee, tobacco, woody notes, a bit of spice, they all just kind of go together. The kind of idea here was just capturing that kind of morning ritual of, you wake up, you make yourself a coffee, the smell of the coffee, if you so choose, a little bit of, caramel flavoring in there as well. And then, stepping outside, there's a bit of fresh air coming through, drink your coffee, you have a smoke, or, someone around you is having a smoke and you have that kind of mix. The thing is, I didn't want it to be like a dirty tobacco. I really wanted to be wearable and quite nice. So I opted for a more clean and fresh tobacco. So there's not as much of that smokiness, but in the dry down, you will get a little bit of smokiness from the Gaiac wood.
It's got a bit of sweetness in there. Like you either got, like you said, I know it's caramel because you said, but it smells a bit vanilla-y / sugary to me.
But there's a lot of vanilla in there as well. It's just
Okay.
not a listed note. So yeah, this is more of that borderline gourmand kind of fragrance. It's quite vanilla-y and sweet. You get a lot of the coffee, like especially on the skin as well, because when the your skin heats it up, you get more of those coffee notes and the more woody notes in the base. But yeah, the thing that surprised me is I made this to be a bit more masculine leaning, but to my surprise, it's been a hit across the board. Like both guys and girls are loving it, which I love, because I'm not specifically making perfumes for this is a girl, this is a guy. It's just if you want to smell like it, that's fine. Like I like wearing nice floral scents. There's nothing wrong with that. And I like wearing nice, more masculine leaning scents. So I was aiming for that, but turns out I got pretty smack bang in the middle unisex.
I don't think this leans one way or another. I'd be happy to wear this. I'm pretty sure you would be as well. This is
And
amazing.
I might be wrong, but for me, it smells like a fragrance that is going to change significantly on a person's skin.
Yes.
Whoever wears it is going to have a little bit of a unique fragrance.
This is definitely one of those ones where it's like a female could wear it and you're like, wow, that's really, sexy. Or a guy can wear it, you're like, wow, that's really like fresh and cool. So yeah, it's definitely got that vibe both ways.
This is a beautiful fragrance. No wonder people are gushing all over this, because honestly, it's so unique. I think it's that neroli in the opening there. I don't think I've ever smelt the combination of neroli with tobacco and coffee. I think it's not that I've been to Italy, but it's sort of taking me to that. I guess the imagery you've given me here is I've woken up in the morning, I've had my shower, I'm nice and fresh. That's my neroli. And then I'm having my cigarette with my espresso, Yeah. So that's sort of what I'm getting, that sort of Italian journey.
Well, they call it like a brioche in the morning, like your pastry. So the caramel could be from your pastry as well.
It's a morning in Italy. Fantastic. Well, if you can't go to Italy, you can go to Italy here with that Tobacuccino. This is beautiful. I can't stop smelling that. That's wonderful. I am going to have to put it aside though, because we've got to get to our next fragrance, but that is glorious. All right, where should we go to next?
Let's keep it more in the masculine side and we'll lead into the more feminine. Let's go the Gambler. This is going to be very different to Tobacuccino, but it's going to have some slight crossovers.
Fantastic. All right, you've got it on yours as well?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so take us through what notes do we have here with the Gambler?
Yep, so we got top notes of pepper and dust. We got middle notes of leather, whiskey, and tobacco. We got base notes of ambergris, oak wood, musk, oud, and vanilla.
Dust.
Yes, dust.
Dust. Right.
It conjures an image, doesn't it?
Yeah, we can't just let dust slide though, can we? Come on.
I'm thinking cowboy gambler, definitely.
Come on. All right.
That was
Explain it.
definitely the inspiration. So like the name, this was heavily influenced by the song The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. I remember as a kid, my dad would play it all the time. It'd be like, Saturday morning, he's got the stereo system pumping, and this would certainly come on multiple times throughout the morning. And I hated it. I was like, this is the dumbest song ever. It's so stupid. I don't like it. Turn it off, right? And then as I got older, you start to appreciate things a bit more and, things have a bit more meaning. And I really, really enjoy the song. It's probably one of the only country songs that I really like. There was one day I was listening to it, and at the time I was also playing a game called Red Dead Redemption 2. If you're not sure what that is, it's a cowboy game, essentially. And I was playing that around about the same time, and I was listening to this song, and I was like, the song and the game kind of a bit similar, and I was like, I wonder what the gambler who gets on this train bound for nowhere would smell like, right? So he's drinking whiskey. I imagine he's wearing dirty leather clothes. He's dusty. He's been riding a horse all day. He's just had some whiskey. He's had a cigarette. He's a little bit dirty, but like kind of a little bit clean at the same time. Like, you know how you have that like kind of dirty smell, but you can't stop smelling it because you're like, this is kind of alluring at the same time. I'm not sure if you kind of get what I'm saying. Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like a bit musky, but you're like, you smell dirty, but like I kind of like it at the same time. So that's the kind of vibe I was going for. I was trying to aim for like, yeah, that kind of dirty, ski, a bit dusty, a little bit smoky, but also like kind of a little bit addicting at the same time.
I think you achieved that. It's definitely exactly what you've said, and you just want to keep going back in for a little bit more, right?
For that manly musk. It's
yeah.
dust. So you got dust achieving that. You got a musk achieving that. You probably got oud in there as well. I think you mentioned.
It's not a real oud, but it's like a synthetic kind of recreation of it. Yes,
because that can give you that sort of vibe as well. I think.
But
so
then you've got the leather as well.
Yeah, the leather. That's the clothing. Yeah, fantastic. And that peppery opening as well. This is really unique. It's a boozy fragrance to me. That's what I sort of get, is that sort of boozy, woody, smoky, leathery.
I was going for something very different, like something that's a bit more out there, a bit more like niche, I guess you could say.
When would you suggest somebody would wear this fragrance?
Tell you what's funny? I have someone in my office that wears this to work.
Okay.
So he's like one of the heads of departments, and I was telling him it, and I bought him in a little sample of it. He's like, I love this. This is insane. And I was like, oh, okay, well, sure. And he's like, when you release it, I want a bottle of it. I was like, all right, no worries. So he bought a bottle, and yeah, sometimes he walks into work, and I'll either like walk past where he is, or he'll walk past me, and I'm like, wait a second. So really, you could wear it wherever you want, but personally, I think it's more suited for like that kind of nighttime. You might be wearing a leather jacket going out to like a bar or something like that. I think this is the vibe that you'd probably want to go for, to feel a bit more rough and gruff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit more of a going out fragrance. I reckon this is, you wear this, if you wear this to the office, I think you are trying to demonstrate dominance over others.
Sure.
He is a head of department, so.
Absolutely. This is a quite a masculine one for sure.
Definitely.
That is really unique, really beautiful, right up my alley in terms of booziness. I love that. And I reckon my dad would also love that as well. I reckon that's a good Father's Day one for anybody who, wants to grab a quick Father's Day gift. That is a great option. Fantastic. All right. Where should we go to next, Corey?
We will move on to Valor.
Valor. Fantastic. All right, we'll spray those out onto some blotters here. Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, so what are the notes in Valor?
So right off the top, we have apple, grapefruit, and pink pepper. Middle, we have ginger grass, juniper berry, and geranium. Base notes, we have amber, sandalwood, tonka bean, and musk. So this one is a blue fragrance through and through. There's some very obvious inspiration from YSL. That's one of my all-time favorites. So I kind of wanted to take that, but in a more natural and kind of less sweet, less aldehydic kind of direction.
Very wearable.
Yeah, it's more fresh than it is sweet, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Citrus, aromatic.
Uplifting.
Yeah, definitely. This is like something that like when I wear, I definitely feel like a lot more confident when I'm wearing it. Like it's just like that kind of fresh, uplifting, like you're walking around, it's like, I know I smell good kind of scent.
Yeah, I mean, we've only just sprayed this out, but I'm getting a bit of that sandalwood in there as well. It's got a bit of woodiness to it.
Sandalwood is definitely one of the key notes in this.
Yeah, I love sandalwood. It's lovely. So it's got that nice fresh grapefruit uplifting sort of opening. You got the sandalwood sitting in the base, and then you mentioned a couple of quite unique notes there. So ginger grass. I don't think I've smelled ginger grass before. Tell me, does ginger grass smell like ginger, or is that a different?
It's same but different. Ginger to me can be a little bit kind of sweaty smelling. This has got real ginger in it as well. But to me, the ginger grass is just a bit more of that kind of herbal and aromatic kind of smell, whereas ginger's kind of a bit spicy and can come across a bit sweaty at the same time as well. The one thing that I really like about this is the amount of naturals I was able to squeeze into this. This is probably like percentage-wise, like oil concentration-wise, this is the one that has the most amount of naturals in there.
It's interesting. I really love it. I think it's, you can just imagine on a warm day having, going out swimming, whatever, and then having a shower and spraying this on and just feeling so good.
I can list off the naturals if you want. There's a fair
Yeah,
few.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
great.
that'd
So
be
we
good.
got bergamot, lemon, alimi, which is a tree kind of resin. It's like a nice camphorous kind of resin. Egyptian geranium, a juniper berry, clary sage, mei chang, which is a tree oil, olibanum, which is like a kind of incense oil, a frankincense oil, sorry. Pink pepper, Haitian vetiver, ginger, cedarwood, atlas, gingergrass, and real tonka bean, absolute.
There's a lot of naturals in there, isn't there? So vetiver as well.
Yes. It kind of just helps with that kind of woody cedarwood and sandalwood combination in the base, and the amber as well.
It's starting to evolve now. I can smell, like you said, some of the woodiness now.
Yeah, it's funny when you mention a note like vetiver that all of a sudden it just sort of clicks into place. That's right, I am smelling that in this fragrance. That's just really fresh, beautiful. This is another unisex one for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It leans more masculine to my nose, but yeah, this is more unisex as well.
You'd wear this, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I tend to like these kind of smells.
Absolutely. This is lovely. Great summer, spring, freshy. Take you into
Aromatic,
take you into autumn as
Yes.
well, I reckon. So yeah, beautiful. This is lovely. All right. What should we explore next?
But let's go with Natasha.
There, spray that out onto a couple of blotters for us. All right. So thank you. What notes are we experiencing here in Natasha?
Yep. So we are getting lychee and strawberry off the top, middle notes of rose, ylang ylang, and jasmine, and then base notes of ambergris and oak moss. So this one's a very strong one, surprisingly strong.
So it's fruity. It's beautiful. Not overly fruity though, not like a big bang of fruit, but it is a nice fruity fragrance.
It's interesting because it's fruity, but as you sniff, you also get the floral. You get that ylang ylang or that.
And the amber, I think. It's an ambery fragrance. So Natasha is a unique name. Is that
That's my wife's name. So I was sitting down with her and she wanted me to make a perfume for her, and this is what she wanted, and this is what she got.
So when you make
she really likes those like really fruity floral fragrances. She really loves rose. She really loves jasmine, and she really likes those like ambery fragrances as well. So it was just kind of a clash of them all together.
Yeah, when you make a fragrance for your wife, you've got to nail it, don't you? And I think I think you have here. So there's what I was trying to say before is, there's a lot of fruity fragrances out there that just smell like a fruit bomb, like a bowl of fruit that you throw on yourself. This is not this. This is woven quite nicely together with the floral. Probably a whole bunch of florals in there, which you mentioned, and also that sort of ambery balance there. So it's actually quite a sophisticated fragrance rather than it just being when I think of fruit fragrances, I feel like teeny bopper sort of fragrances. That's not this at all.
No, this is definitely more of a mature, feminine leaning kind of fragrance, in my opinion. It's quite strong. It kind of has like those classic, like ylang ylang, jasmine, rose, some geranium in there as well. And then you have like the really kind of ever so slightly sweet, fruity pink, like the pink fruits off the top that really just blend with the rose. And then, you have the ambergris, the amber base, and that oak moss to just kind of bring everything together and just kind of bind it all together in like this nice kind of ball.
Been reaching for the word, and I kept on wanting to sort of say sophisticated. It is a sophisticated fragrance, but it's not the word that I was stretching for. It just came to me. This is elegant. This is an elegant fragrance. Yeah. This is, you wear that with a beautiful dress on a night out. This is, ball gown, but also date night. It's nice. In fact, this could be an elegant fragrance to wear into the office as well for a woman, I think.
Yeah. That oak moss kind of has like a little bit of soapiness to it as well. So it's like that clean, you can wear it anywhere kind of smell.
Yeah, it's a very interesting scent because, it starts off with that sweetness, but it's got a lot of, I guess I feel like it's one of those ones that goes in waves.
Where it's like a roller coaster,
yeah. Yeah. And I want to describe it as sultry if you were wearing it. That kind of.
That sexy, sultry sort ofness to it as well. Yeah. It's very feminine fragrance. It's really, really beautiful. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, very
Fantastic.
nice.
Well, I think you
Mm.
did your wife justice with that, and hopefully she gave you quite a lot of compliments about this this fragrance. I'm sure she wouldn't have signed off on it unless unless she was impressed.
She was very specific with what she wanted. So there was a kind of, when I was going through it, there was an iteration that was a bit too indolic, and she smelled it. She's like, no, it smells like an old lady. And I was like, all right. So I removed that part and kind of rebalanced some things. And yeah, it got that kind of more mature, not so teeny bopper, like you said, not too, old lady smelling. It was like that kind of in the middle.
She's very lucky to have somebody create such a beautiful fragrance for her.
Fantastic. And just so we don't skip over that that word that so you mentioned, indolic. We have heard this once before on the podcast, but you want to describe what an indolic, I guess, smells like.
So indolic or indole, indole is the chemical compound, and it is one of the key constituents of jasmine. It can also be found in feces and decay. So it's a really interesting material because in tiny, tiny, tiny amounts, it can just add like a lot of warmth and, kind of character to a scent. When you think of like a lot of white florals, specifically jasmine and a couple other white florals, they have a fair bit of indole in them. So you might get that kind of, it smells really pretty, but in the background, it's kind of got like a little bit of like this kind of poopy smell. You also find that smell in natural ambergris as well. So yeah, it smells very, very, very strong. It's kind of used as that mothball kind of smell as well. Or if you think of someone with like a decaying tooth in their mouth, it also has that smell. So it's a really strange material. In little bits and in things like jasmine, it can be wonderful. Too much, it can smell like something's dead in the room. I have a container of it at 100%. It's a powder. I regret buying it. It is in 3 Ziploc bags and it's shoved in the very back corner of a cupboard. And if I go over near that cupboard, I can smell it. So it's a very strong material and it just, I hate dealing with it and touching it because it just smells and it gets on everything.
So interesting, this part of perfumery, isn't it?
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, there's all sorts of weird and wonderful and funky sort of scents, and you think, oh my God, that sounds horrendous.
Yes.
But we love these smells in combination with other things. You mentioned it before with the Gambler, that sweaty but smells so good. Sweat, often you think sweat stinks, right? But it also has pheromones and it can drive people towards you, and those things can appeal. So some of the things that might sound a little disgusting are actually some of the things that we're drawn to as human beings. Yeah,
exactly. It's a really strange how our nose works that way. It's like this is in flowers, but it's also found in decaying carcasses. So it's really strange how a lot of these molecules are in the world, but in different amounts. And they can smell really nice or really, really bad.
It's all part of that lived experience. Yeah, fantastic. Well, wonderful fragrance. All right, where should we move to next?
Let's move with Seraphy.
Here we go. Spraying
Right,
it on.
spray that onto some blotters. Thank you very much. All right, so we have Seraphy. What are the notes in Seraphy?
So Seraphy is lemon, violet, orris root, vanilla, and white musk.
Really, really fresh. Actually, fresh is not the right word. This is like powdery clean. That's probably more of the word clean. It's a clean
Powdery,
scent.
yeah.
To me, I just want to say pretty,
Yeah, pretty powdery, yeah.
Vanilla. You getting vanilla?
Something sweet.
Nice.
Perhaps vanilla.
There's also a fair bit of sandalwood in here as well. There's real Mysore sandalwood in here.
Real sandalwood.
Real sandalwood.
So sandalwood's another one of those ingredients that are quite expensive.
Yes.
Fantastic. So it's a bit of a musky, powdery scent.
So tell me about violet. Is it sweet in this fragrance? Would it be contributing to that? What will violet contribute to
No,
this?
violet and orris root are essentially the same smell. Violet is just kind of a fantasy accord because the flower itself doesn't have a smell, but the smell is held in the root of the flower, which is orris. Sorry, that's iris. But yeah, it's very, very similar. So that would be the powderiness that you're getting from the violet and orris root. The sweetness would be from the vanilla. There's a fair amount of vanilla in here. And a combination of that with the musk and the sandalwood just give it that kind of creamy sweet effect.
What's the inspiration behind Seraphy?
For this one, when I was making it, I was really just kind of aiming for like this really nice, warm kind of, when you put it on your skin, it kind of just has like that really nice, warm kind of enveloping kind of smell. So on the skin, this one has, it definitely comes off more vanillic and a bit more powdery. And when I was creating it, my inspiration was like kind of the afternoon sun in summertime, daylight savings, you're outside, the nice warm sun is like on your skin, and that kind of like feeling of like the sun on your skin. That's what I was aiming for. At the time, I didn't really realize it, but after I kind of finished making it and it sat with me for a little bit and I was smelling it, trying to think about what it smelled like, it kind of hit me, but this is kind of, it's kind of like a similar smell because it kind of reminds me of my nan that passed in 2013. I don't know how I got here and I don't know what happened during the process, but I was going after this nice warm kind of skin feeling kind of smell, and then I ended up smelling, like it clicked with me, and it kind of smells like a soap or something that my nan had in the house when she was alive. And when I was coming up with a name, it kind of has like that kind of angelic kind of smell, and I landed on Seraphy, which is a play on a word seraph, which is another word for angel. I came up with the name before I realized that it smelled like my nan, so I feel like it was kind of like I'm like agnostic, right? But I feel like everything just kind of lined up. And when it kind of clicked, I was like, wait, what happened here? It's like, there's something weird's going on here. But yeah, everything kind of just lined up. The name, the feeling, and then it just kind of clicking with me that, oh, this reminds me of my nan. And when I showed this to my dad, it was his mum, he smelt it and he was like, this smells like mum. And I was like, I don't know how I got here, but I got here.
I think that's beautiful. Either, sort of the guiding hand of your nan,
yeah,
or a deep memory that's sort of come back unknowingly that as you put it together. And I think that's beautiful. You've got a memory of someone that you loved deeply. So I think that's beautiful.
Very gorgeous.
I didn't want to put on the website that this smells like my nan because I didn't want people to be like, it's going to smell like an old lady. But no, it definitely has like that really nice, warm, inviting, kind of happy kind of feeling,
It certainly doesn't smell like, it reminds you of your nan, but it's not a nana smell. It's a comforting smell. I think it's.
Yeah, I actually even feel like it's bringing a memory to me of some sort of sherbet sweet that I remember from my childhood. There's something in this that is reminding me of, some sort of sweet that I had with sherbet in it.
There you go. Or maybe it was a sweetie that your grandmother gave you when you were fantastic. That is beautiful. It's comforting. It's lovely. It's powdery, and really that sort of vanilla smells coming through. That's probably that desserty type piece to it as well. It's not quite gourmand, but it's certainly got that vanilla coming through as well.
Very bearable as well.
Oh, it's lovely. And I think this is. You mentioned that your initial inspiration around this fragrance was the sun on your skin in summer, but I would say that this is an all-rounder. You could probably wear this all year round quite easily.
Yeah, definitely.
Surprisingly unisex as well.
Yeah.
It has that connotation, but it's still quite unisex. I have a friend that really loves this, and we went and played golf one time, and he got in the car, and I smelt it, and I was like, "Wait, are you wearing my stuff?" He's like, "Yeah, man, this is great." And all day, like we were in the same golf cart, we'd golf, he'd come back into the golf cart, we're in a wide open field, and it was just filling the golf cart. So it's a really nice, kind of room filler as well.
It's got to be handy to have a mate who makes perfumes and makes so many of them. You're always got something for every occasion, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I believe we've got one more fragrance to go.
Yes. This is one that is coming out in a week, I hope. So probably when this goes up, it'll probably be live. But this is Crystalline.
Crystalline. All right, let's spray Crystalline out. Yeah, fantastic on the blotters there. Good stuff. All right, so we've got Crystalline. What are the notes in Crystalline?
So the notes for Crystalline, they will be bergamot, magnolia, amber, and vanilla.
Really, it's like bright, isn't it? It's bright and sparkly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like a bubbly drink or a cocktail.
So what's the inspiration behind this fragrance?
This one's very basic inspiration, but light shining through like a crystal, and like it has that kind of sparkle effect when you see like the sun just beaming through on a crystal, and it, like all the glints and all the different imperfections in the crystal just shining. That's the inspiration for this.
So that effervescent feeling is definitely, you can smell it as
Yeah.
such.
Funny you say effervescent, because for each of the fragrances I like to have like a crystalline and then kind of like a almost like a feeling, or like a maybe a verb. I'm not sure if that's the correct term, but like a subheading for it, right? And the subheading for crystalline is effervescent.
Go.
I think, the inspiration might be simple, but to capture that sort of scene in a scent is quite amazing. This is something very, very unique, especially given that I think you only reeled off like, I don't know, 5 notes in that fragrance, and you've managed to get something that is, to my nose, actually quite complex.
Yep, just bergamot, magnolia, amber, and vanilla.
So 4 notes to pull. Yeah, this is quite amazing, isn't it?
I like it a lot. It's interesting because to me, it's almost like I would think there was some sort of fruit in there as well. So it's just, it's more complex than the notes.
Trick of the trade.
There you go. It's always good to speak to the actual perfumer. There you go. So this is due out soon. So this this will probably drop around about the same time as this episode will drop. Fantastic. Awesome. So this is quite a lot of fragrances in the lineup. This is not all you do though, is it, Corey? You also offer a few other services as part of the Veigel perfume range. Want to tell us a little bit about your latest offering?
Yeah, so as if I didn't have enough work to do, I have opened up my services for like bespoke perfume creation. So the idea here is I want people to be able to, come, if they want a truly one-of-a-kind perfume that no one else is going to have, they can pay for the service. Essentially, it'll be they pay for the service. I have a meeting with them, whether in person or, what we're doing here. Go over what they want, what kind of vibe they're going for, what style they like, and just try and gauge what they want, right? Say they want this note, this note, this note, this note. That's what they want. If they're not sure what they're wanting and they want to go on a bit of a journey, and we can have a discussion, talk about what they like, what they don't like, and then try and come up with something around that. Or if they're like, I want a perfume that kind of smells like this song, then I'll try my best to make a perfume that smells like this song. So yeah, I wanted to open that up so that, people who want to go that extra step, they want to gift someone something personal, or they want to have something that's just for themselves, I wanted them to have that opportunity. So yeah, I'll be offering that service. The way it'll work is it'll be completely that person's formula for about 5 years, and then after which it can use it for whatever else, or just choose to keep it in the archives, and then obviously doing refills at a much cheaper discount for that specific person.
So you just keep the formula on file, and they can come back and they can order again. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, you mentioned in the range that we've just experienced there, Natasha, who's your wife. You've created something that for your wife that smells exactly the way she wants. So just imagine being able to do that for your partner as a gift, saying, I want something that smells just like maybe not just like my girlfriend or just like my boyfriend, but something that reminds me of them, or my grandma, or I'm getting married and I want that perfect sort of wedding day scent that captures what I want my magical day to look like. The options are really quite endless here. And so you're going to be producing really original, personalized fragrances for people.
Super high quality, obviously the highest quality I can. Same with the perfumes that I make here. I always try and get the best stuff that I can. I like to try and use the real stuff where I can, where it's, obviously affordable. And yeah, like funny you mentioned like creation for someone's wedding. Someone's already reached out and had said, hey, can we do something for my wedding? That's coming up next year. So I'm making something for both the bride and the groom. So yeah, it's a really nice personal special gift. So they tell me what they want, have a conversation with them, and then make something completely brand new for them.
Beautiful. We sort of open this conversation around, scent and memory, and you can't sort of get away with those, away from those things. But I mean, if you want to be reminded of your wedding day, it's a perfect way to take you back. quite often they've got, what do they call that at weddings? Is it bonbonniere or, the little gift that you give to people? What a great way to give a gift to all of your guests to remind them of your wedding day as well.
A little bottle of perfume.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think that's a great thing to do. So, wow, you've got a very young child, you've got a brand new brand, and now you're doing this. You are either a sucker for punishment or you are just the most productive person in the world, Corey, I've got to say.
I need to sneeze, sorry.
Absolutely fine. So while you're sneezing, I think it is probably a great time to get stuck into the base. We're well into the dry down here, so we're going to revisit it in just a moment. But just before we do, I just want to revisit our perfume pyramid. So we did mention that not all fragrances are linear. We're not necessarily unfolding in terms of the opening, the heart, and then the base, but we are at the base notes now. So let's go back to the perfume pyramid. The base notes sit at the very bottom of that pyramid, and base notes are almost the opposite of opening notes. So where the opening notes are quite light, they're quite volatile. Our base notes are the opposite. They're heavy and they sort of stick to the skin. And when we think about our perfume sort of lasting us for, many, many hours, it's the base notes that often stick to our skin and provide that longevity in the fragrance over time. So I guess with all of that, explain, Corey, what are we experiencing here in the base?
So definitely getting more of that woody, like the trunk of the tree right now. So we got that cedarwood, sandalwood, and the musk all coming together. It's definitely making like that really strong woody, you're standing at a tree and just the smell of the tree, and then you still have a bit of that greenness as well from the canopy.
Love this dry down.
Yeah, it smells quite different on you. Yeah.
It's more sandalwood on you.
Yeah, I'm really getting sandalwood punching through. So it is definitely woody in the base. So sandalwood and cedarwood
yes.
in the base.
Musk. Yeah.
And there's musk in there as well.
And could the musk have a bit of sweetness, or would that just be coming from maybe some of the hearts?
That would probably be coming from the labdanum. Labdanum is like a bit resinous and going to have a bit of a sweet effect. But no, not really the musk. The musk would be adding to that ever so slightly. I'm getting a bit of powder and soapiness. So the musk would be adding to that just to kind of round off the sharp edges of the cedarwood and, the other notes that we had at the start.
I could smell the soapiness more on your skin. I love it because it's a very warm and comforting dry down to me.
Yeah, you're very right about the, so on the blotter, I've still got the green, greenness, whereas that's really started to dissipate the greenness now in the base, and it's gone to that warm, woody, musky base.
Your skin would have burnt off all those very volatile green citruses, and you'd be getting a lot more of the dry cedar and the sandalwood and that kind of soapy musk and a little bit of sweetness from the labdanum.
It is quite amazing though. I mean, we've been talking for quite some time. That greenness is only really starting to dissipate now. I haven't experienced a fragrance that has remained sort of that green for that long, which is wonderful. I mean, we love that aspect of it. And it's obviously why it's, there in the opening, and it's the first impression that you want to give. Really sets that whole tree fig piece up and really takes us to your, grandfather's, I'm not going to try to say nonno's garden. So yes. I think it paints a perfect picture.
Yeah, it does. And it makes me want to ask the question around how long your fragrances last, because obviously we've tried all of them and they are quite strong to me, I think. So tell us a little bit about how long they last.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty proud of how long they last, considering they're all, it's not like I'm packing them full of, super ambers and a whole bunch of really heavy hitting materials. I think it's just the way you build things and you kind of have a structure. You can have like a really long lasting fragrance without needing to have super high concentration oil. Like some EDTs on my skin last 24 hours. So like it's all just about the materials you use and how well you can use them with everything else that's there. I think probably the one that would last the least would be Seraphy, and I still think you'd easily get about 6 to 8 hours with that one. Just because you'll have that long-lasting sandalwood, musk, and vanilla. Those are just naturally long-lasting materials. So even after like 6 hours, you might not have that that really bright opening, but you'll still have that really nice, vanilla sandalwood dry down. And I think the longest lasting one is probably Amore Del Fico, because it's so packed with those woody materials. The greenness will go away, but you'll be left with like this really beautiful cedarwood, sandalwood, labdanum kind of resinous dry down.
I think that's certainly been my experience of perfumers. I've learnt a little bit more about it, that just because the balance of perfume oil increases and we start to get into the extrait zone or the elixir zone or the God knows what the even stronger ones are coming out with now, that doesn't necessarily represent longevity. It also doesn't represent projection. Sometimes it's just a marketing ploy just to say, hey, look how strong my stuff is, but the strength and the concentration of it isn't as important as the construction of the fragrance itself. I've certainly got some EDTs that last for a very, very long time. I think some of the vetiver ones that I've got in my collection that last and last and last, even though they're EDTs. So it's all about how they're actually constructed. Fantastic. All right. So that was an absolutely amazing masterclass. And I can see why you chose that fragrance. I think it's an absolutely beautiful fragrance. And I think it really does justice to your brand. So the Amore Del Fico, I think it really sort of speaks to what Veigel's all about, but some hard to pick, right? Because you've got so many great ones. I mean, I was absolutely blown away by the Tobacuccino and really by all of them. They're all very, very unique. They're all very distinct from each other. There's none that I've gone, oh, that one smells a little bit like another one in your range. They're all very, very different. And I think there's one for every occasion, every season. But I guess if you've produced this many fragrances in this time frame, you're probably not done. Would that be fair?
Not done, no. I really want to try and get one last fragrance out before the end of the year. I would really like to have like a 2025 collection, and it's the kind of 8. Hopefully, if I get the last one out, it would be like the solid like 8 foundation, and then going into 2026 and beyond, I would definitely slow down the amount of like the release cadence, just because I don't want to oversaturate the brand, and also I have some other things that I'm working on. So yeah, I am trying to aim for one last release for the end of the year. I'm working on this kind of slightly boozy, warm, woody cherry fragrance. I really like the smell of cherry and the fragrances, so I really wanted to try and make something like that. So that's what I'm currently working on. Whether or not it comes out or not is a different question. But yeah, I want to try and aim for 8, and then the release cadence will be a lot slower in the new year. And then there's also some other projects that I'm working on, some just starting and some that are, going into production. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening over here.
Exciting. And I wish you all the best with the new fragrance. And look, I have to say, I have been blown away because I enjoyed every single one of them, and you're really talented. So I know that we'll be looking out for each and every new release.
Especially that cherry. I know Rob's always on the lookout for a cherry fragrance. You haven't quite nailed down the one that you're really looking for yet, but
on the hunt, absolutely. So it'd be really interesting to hear, Corey, where can people find your fragrances, and do you have a discovery set? Like, how can people try your fragrances?
No discovery set just yet. I would like to try and get one out. It's just they're quite expensive to make. So not yet, but I am working on one. You can find my stuff in a pharmacy now. So just recently, I am now being stocked in a pharmacy in Top Ryde in Sydney, Pharmacy for Less. That's the only place currently where my stuff is in a store. But I do offer like little 10 ml bottles of each of my fragrances. They're at like, $30 for 10 mils. Which I think is pretty reasonable and a pretty low entry price for someone that wants to test it out.
Yeah, very, very reasonable. And just for those people who are watching on YouTube, we will have the Veigel website on the bottom of your screen right now. For those people who are listening on Apple Music or listening on Spotify, we'll embed Corey's website straight into the description. So it's nice and easy to sort of just click and go straight through to the website. Popping up on your screen right now is a QR code. That QR code will take you to our website, olfactive.com.au, and we will also have Corey's details there. So you've got multiple ways to find Veigel. You've got no excuse not to jump onto the website and sample some of the range. So, Corey, one of the other things that we sort of covered during the opening was the Jaloo Cross Veigel Nose Kit. And we can't help but notice on it, it says Nose Training Kit 1.
Yes.
That sort of, I guess, leads into that there might be a kit 2 potentially coming out at some point in the future?
That was kind of put there as like, the end of the Marvel movie. You wait for the end of the credits and it's like, oh, like there's a little teaser for the next one. The possibilities are endless. We aren't currently working on kit 2, but we definitely want to do a kit 2 and potentially other kits later on down the line. So yes, that's definitely something that we're looking into, yes.
Well, the only way to know is to jump onto the Veigel website and keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on Cory's socials as well. You've got a bit of a social media presence, along with being active in a number of different fragrance enthusiast groups as well. And if you're not part of those groups, we highly recommend that you do get stuck into them. There's many, many great ones out there on Facebook. Fantastic. So, Cory, I would like to thank you for being so generous with your time today. You have spent quite a lot of time with us, taking us through the masterclass, exposing us to your broader range, explaining to us different notes, how notes are constructed, a whole range of different educational topics. And we really appreciate your time. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Cory. It's been so much fun, and I feel like I've learned such a lot, but I also have really enjoyed so much experiencing your fragrances. So thanks again. And thank you to all our listeners. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have. And if you have, please like and subscribe, and please leave us a comment if you have enjoyed it. And we'll see you again next time, where we meet some more perfumers and explore another fragrance and masterclass together. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.